Hey, so we're looking at Starbucks. This is one of our value type stocks. And before I get into it, if you have any opinions on this stock, especially in terms of when you'd want to buy or sell or just news in general, feel free to leave it in the comments and I'd be happy to read that. And we can kind of just communicate on what Starbucks is up to. And uh, I would enjoy reading that. But anyway, so just looking at the technical analysis for this one, I did add some lines here. Uh, I meant to record in a previous video, but uh, well, the recording just didn't go the way I wanted to. So uh, there are some updates here, and so I'm going to go over them for us right now. So the changes that I made are I added in these two lines here. This higher but thinner green line because it seems like that's acting as support, especially over the past about 4 months. Every time it's gone close to $97, it seems to come right back up. And then I added this other red line because it's acting as resistance right now, as it's pretty much touched 108 two times and it's been rejected. The other big change that I made to this is these purple lines here. So clearly it's in an uptrend, and that's been in effect since about June of last year. So it's almost been a full year of being in an uptrend. You can see it's exceeded it a couple times, but then pulled right back into the uptrend. And then, of course, more recently, it's actually cut through. For me, personally, when it was outside of this range on the lower half, I I probably actually would have bought maybe this first week, but because just the way I cycle through all the stocks I'm following, uh, it's been about a month since we last looked. It looks like this red bar was the last time we looked, um, and I didn't think it was at a good enough spot. I also really wasn't paying attention to the uptrend. I wanted to see if it would pull back. And right now it seems to be doing that. Last we checked, it was at 103. Now it's at 104. So there was this big change, at least in a couple weeks, but we're back where we started about a month ago. And I'm still holding out to see if I can get it at a better spot. Um, Keeping the uptrend in mind, if I want to keep the uptrend as the ultimate number one indicator of when to buy, then it's at a decent spot because it's at the lower end of the uptrend range. But the things that I don't like about it is I'm at least right now I'm prioritizing these horizontal lines that I just put in because it's been trading sideways for the past 4 months. I want to see if that kind of continues. Now, I could definitely argue that it's still in an uptrend, even though it's kind of gotten crazy over the past 5, 6 months, where it's really exceeded the uptrend, which is a good thing, but then it pulled way back, went all the way through, but now it's back in that range. So I definitely want to see how it responds if it gets to 108 because again, this one it could maintain the uptrend and still not hit 108 for a few weeks in all honesty. But right now I just there's not enough for me to buy into this one because again, even assuming the best case scenario for this one where it does continue to uptrend, number one, I think it's going to meet a decent amount of resistance at 108. If it were to go through 108, it it's going to run into resistance at 113 because that was another marking where it had trouble getting over it. And then in the dream scenario where it beats 113, it's only going to go to 121. So that's about a 20% return, which it'll probably take months to get. that's a good return. Don't get me wrong. It's just to get to that point is very it to me. I imagine it's going to take a long time to reach that mark, and not only that, I think it's going to get held up two times at least, and I don't see it. I think that's a dream scenario right now. We will continue to monitor this. For me personally, the first time I would consider buying this would be 97. Again, because I want to see how this trades out. I want to see if it hits 108 and can it pass that. If it can, okay, I might start giving the uptrend a higher priority than our sideways consolidation period. But for now, I want to see what it does at 108 or if it pulls back. If it starts to pull back or continue to chop sideways, then I was correct in uh, putting the uptrend as a second tier prioritization. But we'll just have to wait and see. Outside of that, I just wanted to look at their financials for a little bit. So we're looking at their balance sheet. Uh, right off the bat, it's not a very good balance sheet in my opinion. I mean, it's okay. Like obviously they're doing business, they're doing a good job, but at least in terms of like current debt, uh, they don't really have the cash on hand to take care of that. They do have a lot of cash, so it's not like a pressing thing because I mean they have $3 billion worth of cash on the balance sheet, so they have tons of cash ready to go. It's just their current liabilities in terms of the payables. I mean that's like all payables, and assuming those are current payables, um, I just would have liked to see it a little bit better. Mainly just these numbers right here. So current assets $7 billion, and current liabilities $9 billion. If that would have been reversed, I would say this is good. I wouldn't even give it any more thought than that. Uh, Something that I do like about this company is total revenue, at least in the past 12 months, is nearly $33 billion. Also, it seems like they're growing pretty decently, even for a big company like this, going from in 2020, which of course was a down year, at 23 billion, popping it back up to 29 in 21, and then in 22, it went all the way up to $32 billion. So that for as large as this company is, in the past year, it was still able to get what would that be? About 10% increase in revenue. That's pretty good. And then in terms of income still stays flat, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Just, I mean, it's not bad. It's just you would think it'd be better, considering their revenue's growing. It looks like the cost of revenue, of course, is going to go up, which that makes sense. Gross profit seems to be kind of flat, and all. I mean, I'm just looking at these 2 years where they made three billion extra dollars in revenue, and yet the gross profit was flat. So that's kind of concerning. Yeah, so nothing's really standing out to me of why I would want this one at this point. That said, if it hit a good price point, yeah, I'm gonna buy this one. And then going into the summary, market cap's at $124 billion roughly, and the revenue. In terms of the revenue, that's like the one thing I do like about this company is $124 billion in market cap, and yet the revenue is 32 billion. So in like 4 years, they're able to match it in terms of market cap. But of course, the thing is, in terms of income, and actually I can just look at the price to earnings. Um, in terms of the PE ratio, 36 years. Yeah, I feel like there's better opportunities out there, and of course that's why this is a value stock, um, or in that value stock category. Uh, so this would be a nice place to hedge against if I can get it at the right price. Outside of that, just some things that I saw in the news lately for this one. Uh, they're declaring their quarterly dividend. It looks like they just started doing this maybe like uh, at least a year ago, maybe close to 2 years ago. They were in the news. Apparently, they fired somebody in Buffalo for being active in the unionization effort, and that was big news. Um, and I'll touch on that. We're going to kind of start from current and go back in the past a little bit. They did create, uh, they hired a new CEO. It looks like their former CEO and founder, Howard Schultz, he was in charge. I guess he was under a lot of scrutiny for the unionization and um, union busting. And so he went to the Senate. Here's just a couple headlines on that. And I don't know how it really went. I have to imagine it must have gone poorly because during that period of time, they hired a new CEO, and that is, I'm looking for his name here. I don't think I passed it. Um, I'm looking for his face. I'm not seeing it. New CEO. Oh yeah. Well, here you go. So here he is. Laxman Nar- Nara Seaman. Nara Seaman is the new CEO, and I just thought this one was funny. So he intends to work in stores at least once a month as a barista, I imagine. Um, Probably not that. That has to be too ridiculous. I don't think he'll do that. But just work in a store once a month, that'd be pretty cool. You could learn from him. Outside of that, um, that seems like the big headlines for Starbucks. Uh, this guy was recently hired. Um, I'm not sure if he was an internal guy or not. I didn't see any headlines of where he came from exactly. So, because of that, I have to imagine he was internal because otherwise, if he was a CEO somewhere else, I'm sure they would have said he's coming from so and so company, but I didn't see any mention of that. This is something interesting. So, 100 new cafes. I think it's in England. Maybe. I feel like I saw that somewhere. That was like a quick mention of 100 new stores. But I think it's in England. Um, but I'm not seeing that. Okay, but that pretty much wraps this up. So that was the big news. New CEO. He's only been there for less than a month, so it'll be interesting to see how his management style, his what his goals are for this company over the next quarter, couple quarters, the next year. We'll see if they continue to grow or whatever. Uh, Obviously, Schultz leaving. That was probably the bigger news. And then the unions. They're having trouble with the unions. So it's something to keep in mind. But that pretty much wraps this up. So just kind of share the chart here one last time. And over here, this is the update. So currently is at 104. The buy points that I'm looking at, 81, 91, and 97. Obviously, the higher you go, uh, that's not a great spot, but because it's in an upward trend, yeah, it's not bad. So 97 again, that is down here, that green line. 91 is the blue line, and then 81, that was that extreme low that seemed like it was acting as support. We didn't catch that, obviously. It's still in an uptrend. Uh, 97 might be the new buy point, but we will see how this uptrend continues. If ultimately, I want to see what happens at 108. If we'll just see, we'll just play it. We'll play it by week. Hopefully, we circle back to this one later in the month and just kind of see how it's been playing out. Other than that, uh, sell slash short moments would be 108, 113 again because I think it's going to have resistance there. Me personally, I'm not going to be doing that just because I would rather buy and accumulate stocks. But if I see something worth doing that, I will share that. And lastly, we have this note that we put in that it's in a decent uptrend for the past year roughly, but for the past 4 months, it's been trading sideways. So we'll just continue to watch this and Uh, let me know what your thoughts are on this stock, and outside of that, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.